shown pornographic movies and plied with hookers and shot with steroids, and he cannot wait. And at the end of all this, he gets a Corvette. So he walks into it. It's this whole scam on his parents. And it's a great story. It works really well. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But there are protesters outside the gate of this. And I used the word fat in the story. And one of my best friends in the workshop, a very best-selling writer, Chelsea, she said, no, you can't use the word fat. Nope. I said, we're writers. You know, I'm same-sex attracted. Why can't I use the word fat? And Chelsea says, because we meet in my house, and you're not going to say the word fat in my house. I said, we're cutting ourselves off the knee if we cannot, if we start sort of dictating what words we cannot use. It was so frustrating. And Chelsea said, no, if you're going to bring in work with the word fat, we're not meeting here, and I don't want to be part of workshop anymore. And workshop more or less fell apart that night. Or this discussion of what was going to be allowed and what was not going to be allowed. And we had depicted, Chelsea writes about a serial killer named Gretchen who vivisects her victims. And they're alive, and the lungs are inflating and deflating, and the positive bowel movements are happening in the intestines, and the whole thing is alive and steaming while Gretchen is torturing this man to death. And they're like, yeah, we're allowing that, but we don't allow fat.
Mm-hmm. That's the one word on YouTube that I cannot use.
Really?
It's the one word.
It's funny because
that I know of.
I go to my phone and I try to put in obscene words or forbidden words, and fat is the one word the phone will take and won't autocorrect. So I just find.
This is who he's talking about. No, I didn't buy this. Years ago, I watched Chuck. It was him and the crew that he's talking about. And they used to do bedtime stories here in town. She wrote this trash. This is one of the only books I painted something in here and I took photos and did something else with it because I read, not most of this. I should say I read a quarter of it. Oh yeah, I was promoting my own book by using her book because I thought it was fucking funny. That's what I did with it. And it's trash. I've just kept it as a throwaway. Because it is. It's trite shit. Doesn't surprise me. What was the other thing I was going to rattle off? A few of the names from those bedtime stories. I friended them on Facebook, kept up with them here and there throughout the years, and watched how they bought into the social engineering agendas again and again and again and again and again. And still, this cut deep. I just watched this. I guess they posted this video with Chuck just a couple months back. But it still fucking got to me, even though I know who that gal is and I understand that that's who she is. But it still frustrated me. It's funny. I felt fired up just hearing it because that's not how things should be. That's not how things should be. That's fascism. That's fucking fascist horse shit. I'm not just throwing around, you're a fascist. Censorship is patently fascist. Once you open up that door, you can't fucking shut it. And that's why we shouldn't have opened up the fucking door. Again, that's going to go over most people's heads because, well, I don't want to hear some things and some stuff really fucking unnerves me and I'm just so fucking timid and scared and frail and ooh. We're not going to be better off because we're placating this horse shit and catering to every fucking fear under the sun that you might pull out of your fucking ass. But as always, what the fuck do I know?
A woman came up And she'd come a huge distance. I believe it was from Coos Bay, Oregon. And she told a story about how when she was in second grade, she'd been a brownie. And brownies are a precursor to Girl Scouts. And you get a little brown hat, and you have to earn merit badges. And each week you meet at a different brownie's house. And she was not a popular kid. She had very few friends in second grade. But once she got a stomach ache, and her mother kept her out of school, and at the time, this would have been in the 60s, they had a heating pad with this vibrating function. And so she had to sleep on her stomach with the heating pad on her stomach. And somehow during the night, the heating pad slid down between her legs, this gentle, warm, vibrating thing. And she said she woke up with the most fantastic, incredible feeling. Just glorious, like nothing she had ever experienced. And so the next time it was her turn to host the brownies, she said, "Brownies, you got to come to my house. You all got to try this heating pad thing I invented. It's amazing." And so all the brownies rode this heating pad, and they all had these fantastic, fantastic experiences. And she said after that, every brownie meeting was at my house. Every girl in the second grade wanted to play at my house. And it was like Sex in the City for 7-year-old girls. And we all got along. And for that one bright, shining moment, I was the most popular kid in my class. Until the one day my mom came home from work early, and she caught us with the heating pad. And she very politely asked all the brownies to leave. And when they were all gone, she grabbed the cord and she yanked it out of the wall and went at me, just beat me with that cord. My mom just beat me and beat me with that heating pad cord, that electrical cord. And she just beat me and beat me and beat me. And the whole time she was beating me, she was saying, "You slut, you dirty, dirty bitch, you dirty, dirty whore. What kind of a fucking whore am I raising?" And the woman who's telling me this story is not telling it in a tragic way. She's telling it in a kind of way that something is shifted. And it's because I've read that Guts story in which, in the first person, I'm talking about a character who puts a carrot up his butt, and another character who puts a length of wax down his penis, and another character who's disemboweled by a swimming pool filter. But since I read it in the first person, I'm more or less embodying all of these acts. And she says, this woman with a heating pad, she says, if you can tell those stories about, jerking off in a swimming pool, if you can tell those stories and make people laugh at them about what you did, then I can tell my heating pad story. And I can make that story a story that people laugh at. And that ultimately, she said, I have not had an orgasm since the second grade. But maybe someday I'll be able to have an orgasm. And beyond that, maybe someday I can go back to my mother and I can say, "Do you remember that heating pad we had?" And I can complete this enormous incomplete with my mom. And so that's another big aspect of why I write what I write, because our entire lives can be about this enormous effort to look good and to always look good and to never sort of show any kind of belly. But if we recognize that, that gives us a freedom to really show belly when we want to, and to kind of be of service to people, and to be able to kind of throw away the really kind of small things that we find ourselves on occasion. I find myself getting smaller and smaller and smaller as I get smarter. And it really takes a kind of sort of self-immolating story to kind of blow me back out so that I'm really in the world again. And so it's about reading a story in which I kind of throw away all human dignity. And in turn, I'm given something greater than this small sort of looking good thing that I was up to that moment. And also you do that service for your readership or for your audience because you give them the same freedom to kind of step out of looking good for a moment